All right, today it is Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. I apologize for being a bit late on this video. I would have got around to it sooner, but I wanted to make sure that I got my Arizona Coyotes video done first. So, as per usual during the NFL season, I like to go through all the different uniform matchups. And by the way, I just want to make sure I make one thing clear. This is what I'm now calling this the Rockzilla's Weekly Roundup podcast, because unless there's a rare circumstance where there are visuals right at the beginning of the video, or if I say there will be a visual component in a video, basically assume these are always in a podcast format. So I'll start with the uniform matchups, then I want to talk a little bit about some news that I thought was worth talking about, and I might be giving a little small channel update that will be a little bit significant to, well, one of you in particular. So I'll talk about last Thursday's game between the Giants and the Washington football team. Regardless of whatever the Washington football team's new name is going to be, I really hope they leave their uniforms alone. They are amazing. They wore their white jerseys with white pants and burgundy socks, and let me tell you, if they change their name, that's one thing, but please leave the uniforms alone. They looked so damn nice against the Giants on Thursday. They wore their regular blue shirts, blue helmets, white pants, and blue socks. You know, for a team that has a very simple look, the Giants' blue uniform, their home uniform, you know, even though I do wish they would go back to their 80s uniforms with the Giants word mark on the helmet instead of the NY logo and the red, white, red striping on the sleeves, their current home uniform is definitely not bad. It's a little bit too simple for my taste for that uniform. I only say that because I like the extra color that the 80s Giants uniforms had. But it was a great-looking uniform matchup. Speaking of great-looking uniform matchups, even though I'm not a fan of the Dolphins' new logo and their jerseys compared to the retro ones they've been wearing, thankfully, in recent years, the Dolphins' jerseys are simple and they're not bad. I mean, they wore their white jerseys with white pants and aqua socks against the Bills in royal blue with white pants and blue socks. That's exactly the way the Bills should always wear their blue home uniform. White pants, blue socks, blue jerseys, white helmets. I mean, there's a second straight uniform matchup I'm discussing in this video that, in my opinion, was basically about as good as you can get. The only change that could have made it better was if the Dolphins were wearing their white throwback, and of course the Giants were wearing an 80s blue uniform. But anyway, in terms of current uniforms, though, that they're wearing now currently, I'd love to see the Dolphins break out their white throwbacks next time they play the Bills in Miami. So now moving on to the Bengals and the Bears. The Bears are the Bears. They wore their navy uniform with white pants, blue striped socks against the Bengals in their white jerseys with black pants. The black pants have orange Bengal striping on the sides, which helps a little bit, but once again, you know what? I love the combo. Bengal tiger striped helmet, white jersey, black pants, and white socks. But that white jersey, I said it before and I'll say it again, it has a really, really disappointing look to it. It looks too much like the jersey's made for a different team called the Cincinnati Zebras, and the Bengals had to use them in emergency supply because their jerseys got lost. The Bengals need much more orange on their white jersey to make it work. I mean, their new jerseys are better than what they're replacing, but that white jersey, in my opinion, is far too plain and not enough orange. I do agree with the people saying that the number and lettering font is very similar to the Bears, but I don't think it's a big deal personally, and I know some of you will disagree. Moving on to the Broncos and the Jaguars. The Jaguars wore everything below the helmet white. you know, that white jersey, they're just like the Bengals. It seems like teams that do redesigns nowadays in recent years, they seem to have a white jersey that is basically void of their main primary color. The Jaguars have had this issue since they fixed their first Nike redesign. Their new black and teal jerseys are better than the ones they replaced, and I don't miss that baby poop gold uniform either. But they needed to add more teal to the away jersey, and they should have at least just left the numbers teal like they had them before with black trim. That would have made the away jersey a lot better. But I don't know why they couldn't at least wear teal socks when they wear white jerseys and white pants. It would just tie in the uniform a whole lot better. The Broncos wearing their regular orange uniform, their home uniform on the road in Jacksonville with navy helmets, navy socks, and white pants. They've got the traditional uniform style right, but I'm sorry, folks. The Broncos' longtime jerseys suck. They need to get new uniforms, in my opinion. The Texans wore their best uniform, their away uniform with navy pants and white socks, against the Browns in their home jersey with white pants, brown socks with orange and white striping. Even though I love the Browns in orange pants, I think their brown jersey with white pants is their best look in my opinion. But as I say that, I love that they frequently wear the orange pants now too. I love that look almost as much as the white pants, but I like the white pants a little bit more. Now, that was a great looking matchup. The Rams versus the Colts. Now, the Colts, thankfully, for the most part, know how to stick with a consistent, beautiful look. Let's hope that they avoid monochrome royal blue like the plague. But white helmet, blue jersey, white pants, blue socks. Need I say more? That's the best look for the Colts home uniform. And when they wear that same style, everything except for the jersey being white, that's the perfect Colts uniform. White pants, blue socks, always. And then whether it's the white jersey or the blue jersey, it doesn't matter. Beautiful uniforms. But as for the Rams, they wore their bone uniform on Sunday, and they wore everything below the jersey royal blue, pants and socks. You know, the Rams need to at least wear bone-colored socks with the blue pants for contrast, because they look like they were wearing royal blue yoga pants. And, you know, even though I think their new throwback-inspired third jersey is a case of taking a great legendary design from the 80s, one of my favorite NFL jerseys of all time, and making it worse, I really hope that the Rams are planning on at least making their new white third jersey their full-time away next season. That's what I'm predicting the Rams are going to do, because, you know, I tip my hat to them for the creativity of going with an off-white uniform, but theirs sucks. And you know what? If they want to keep it around as a third jersey for the next few seasons, all right, I can live with that. But keeping it on as their full-time away beyond this season, I think, is completely and utterly ridiculous. Moving on to the Raiders and the Steelers. What a beautiful matchup. The Steelers in their classic home uniform with gold pants. I do agree with my subscriber, Sean. They should just switch this black jersey out for the 70s throwback one and bring out the matching white jersey from that era and go to those. But even with the modern modified number font, sorry, I think that's my nose whistling. I'm really sorry. That's kind of embarrassing, but I'd rather rectify it now than not rectify that at all. I'm sorry if you heard a little sniveling, nose inhaling sound, or nasally sound. I'm really sorry about that. But as for the Raiders, classic away uniform, silver pants, silver helmets, black socks. Need I say more? Great looking matchup. The Patriots played the Jets. Both teams wore monochrome. I am sick of the Patriots and their insistence on being monochrome navy all the time. You had a silver pant option and you're telling me that you still haven't brought it out? What a joke. I mean, it's sad because I actually think their new jerseys are not bad at all. I like them. But the monochrome navy uniform takes away from what I think would be a real good upgrade over what they've been wearing since 2000. As for the Jets, Everything below the helmet was white. The Jets away uniform, when they wear it, white pants, white jersey, if they wear that with green socks instead of making it a white color rush uniform, basically, it makes it look a lot better. And speaking of the Jets, there's a certain viewer of mine who made a request, and to that viewer, you know who you are. I'm going to try to aim to have a video about the Jets done within the next week or two. So I've definitely got that written down. I intend to make that video for you as soon as I can. Now, moving on, a little observation that I've noticed so far this season is that for the second game in a row, the Saints have elected to wear gold pants. Has hell frozen over, or are maybe, just maybe, the Saints starting to get the memo from us fans of football that the monochrome black yoga pant look is absolutely distasteful and downright ugly? Same with the white jersey with the black yoga pant look. You know, it is so refreshing to see the Saints embracing their gold pants. That should be the only pant that they ever wear, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, even though I honestly want to see the Saints go back to their retro uniforms, the black one and the white one they wear as their color rush uniform, if they wear the gold pants all the time, it makes their current home and away jerseys they've had for decades look a whole lot better, in my opinion. On the flip side, when the Panthers wear white jerseys with white pants and light blue socks, it is a great look. I love that the Panthers usually follow a rather traditional uniform style. I think their uniforms are very underrated, and you know, even though I would prefer if they do wear their silver pants with their white jersey and light blue socks, though all white with blue socks looks amazing. It's a look that the Chargers have been embracing quite a bit since they redesigned their uniforms last season, and I'm glad that the Panthers do that as well and have been doing it for a long time for the most part, because it looks so damn good. Always does. The 49ers wore their standard away uniform, always looks good, against the Eagles in their dark tealish midnight green home jersey with white pants and black socks. I think the socks were black. If not, feel free to correct me. At least, you know, even though I want the Eagles, and I think the Eagles should get some new uniforms as soon as they can, at least I'll give them credit. Like the 49ers, they usually wear a pretty traditional uniform setup for their rather typical late 90s color scheme that I hope they go back to Kelly Green someday, sooner rather than later. Now, moving on, the Buccaneers, white jersey, white pants, black socks, pewter helmets. What can I say? For a modern look, I'm so glad they went back to their late 90s uniforms. So glad. It looks so much better. Even with, I do prefer the pewter pants actually, but the white pants look really good too, and I'm glad that the Buccaneers do wear them. But as for the Falcons, you know what? I've said this before and I'll say it again. When the Atlanta Falcons wear their mediocre new jerseys with a rather traditional uniform setup with contrasting pants and socks, their home and away jerseys are actually tolerable. They wore their black home jersey on the road in Tampa with their black helmets, of course, white pants, and black socks. And you know what? It's a modern take on their throwback alternate uniform, and it's actually tolerable. Do I love their new jerseys? No, I do not, for the record. But you know what? I gotta say this. When they wear them with the right combinations, they're actually somewhat tolerable. Dear Atlanta, please keep up the good work on that, because you will make it a lot easier for people like myself to put up with your uniforms. Moving on, the Vikings wore purple pants and socks with their away jersey. Not a fan of that look. They need to have white socks to make that look really good. You know, the purple pants are good, but when they wear them with purple socks, it looks like a yoga pant, and it's not a good look. The Cardinals, white pants, red socks, red jerseys. even though I think the Cardinals desperately need new uniforms, I think they might have some of the worst uniforms in the NFL now, that we've seen Tampa Bay fix their uniforms, and even now that we've seen the Bengals recently unveil new uniforms for this season. You know, I'll give the Cardinals credit. At least they've got their pant-sock combo right. But the jerseys need to be replaced. They need new uniforms, in my opinion. The Cowboys wore their Navy uniforms once again, but this time with white pants. The white pants with the Navy jersey just don't work. They have to wear their silver pant with it because it just looks so damn good that way. The white pants are kind of meh. They look fine too, but nowhere near as good as the silver pants that match with the silver helmets. And as I said earlier, the Chargers wore all white with light blue socks. It's a fabulous look, and for a modern take on an older design, looks great. Always does. Moving on, everything below the helmet for the Titans in their game against Seattle was white. Once again, if you're going to wear all white, please have contrasting socks. When you do that, it actually looks really good. When you don't, not so much. As for Seattle, they wore everything monochrome navy. Even though I think that's the only way their navy blue home uniform is somewhat tolerable, they've got to start to at least wear some type of contrasting sock. Personally, when they wear monochrome navy with action green socks, I think that's their best home look. Because in my opinion, I think they need contrasting socks to brighten that uniform up a fair bit. At least a little bit. The Chiefs wore their standard away uniform with red pants. Always looks great against the Ravens in black helmets, purple jerseys, white pants, and black socks. They're another team that I would love to see eventually get some new uniforms, hopefully soon, or at least new jerseys. They look like a typical late 90s design with a really random, mediocre attempt at a modern number font, and I'm not a fan, never have been a fan of their jerseys, to be honest. Their colors are good, but the jerseys not so much. Everything else is fine. I wouldn't mind seeing their logo get cleaned up a fair bit too. But when the Ravens wear purple jerseys with white pants and black socks, or even purple socks, it's actually not a bad look overall. Finally, for this week's matchups for week 2, the Detroit Lions wore white pants for the first time in about 60 years, and for the first time ever used a white face mask on their helmet. You know, I actually think the idea of the Lions wearing white jerseys with white pants, or having a white pant option, is actually not bad. But if the Lions are going to do it, as I said before, with other teams, such as the Titans, or who else who wore monochrome white? The Titans, or the Jets, or even the Jaguars. You have to have some kind of contrasting sock, in my opinion. The whole monochrome color rush inspired white morph suit look is not great, in my opinion. If that uniform was worn with their regular light blue socks, it would actually be pretty damn good. And truth is, I'm not a big fan of the Lions' current uniforms, not going to lie. But truth is, I would prefer if the Lions constantly stick with silver pants. It looks much better, but a white pant option, I don't mind it as long as they wear it with their white jerseys and light blue socks, then it works. Doing monochrome white, including the socks, in my opinion, I'm not sold on that. They played the Packers and they wore their standard home uniform, which is always a gem. So there are the NFL matchups for the week. I shared my thoughts on those. I did mention earlier one thing I wanted to mention. There's a particular subscriber of mine who made a video request recently, and I am planning on doing a video on that about the New York Jets for you, and you know who you are. And finally, there is an interesting piece of news that I want to wrap this week's weekly roundup with, and it has to do with a recent announcement that there will be a Heritage Classic game this coming season in the National Hockey League. But Interestingly enough, it will be the first Heritage Classic game to involve an American NHL team. So finally, after I've mentioned it in the past year or so, I know I mentioned it somewhere, but I was saying that, you know, it's time for Toronto to have some type of Heritage Classic participation. The fact that they haven't participated yet in some capacity, in my opinion, is ridiculous. So Toronto will be playing the Buffalo Sabres, but get this, here's a plot twist. For the second Heritage Classic in a row, it will be played in a neutral site, in a neutral city that does not have an NHL team. Last time in 2019, it was, or actually I think it was, yeah, it was 2019, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. In 2019, the Heritage Classic was played in Saskatchewan, where the Rough Riders play. This time around, fast forward 3 years, because this game's not going to happen until March of 2022 next year, as far as I know. But this time around, the Heritage Classic will be played in Hamilton. And honestly, I think that's fantastic. Now, I'm very curious to see what the Sabres are going to wear for this game, considering they've gone retro this past season for the most part, with the exception of the white stripes on their royal blue home uniform, which I'm not a fan of that striping, by the way. It's too much like the home jersey they finally got rid of, in my opinion. But I'm curious to see what kind of uniform the Buffalo Sabres have up their sleeves. I have a feeling it's going to be some type of faux back design that pays homage to Buffalo's hockey history in general. And I have a feeling it's going to be a really, really nice look. As for Toronto, they've got lots of different uniforms they can pull out of their wardrobe. Do they go with a 30s design? Do they maybe even finally bring out the early 60s royal blue jersey, the royal blue flip of the white throwback jersey they wore for a long, long time throughout the 2000s. I used to love that 60s throwback Toronto used to wear back when I was a kid. It was a great, great design. It's a beautiful uniform top to bottom, in my opinion. I would not even mind if Toronto brought that back. In fact, I would be all over that. Obviously, it'll be something new in terms of a throwback. I mean, it could be a white 67 throwback. We did have the Maple Leafs bring the royal blue version of that back a decade ago. I don't think they'll do a 70s, 80s uniform, not for the Heritage Classic. I mean, they could very well do a design from the mid to late 30s. That would not surprise me. Perhaps maybe they do the royal blue flip of their early 60s uniforms. The white one was their longtime third throughout the 2000s. I would love to see that jersey make an appearance for the first time in the 21st century. I'm talking about the blue flip of the white throwback third Toronto had from 2000 through to 2007, and then from 2008 through to the end of the 2010-11 season. So, also, another design maybe Toronto might consider bringing back is a design that I honestly believe may just be one of the best designs, blue jersey designs the Maple Leafs have ever worn. And it's the design they wore back in the 1991-92 season to celebrate the National Hockey League's 75th anniversary. I would be ecstatic if the Leafs went with that as their Heritage Classic uniform, but I don't know, maybe they might even drop a bit of a bomb and do a white flip of their 2014 Winter Classic sweater. I would be so happy if they did that. But anyway, my point is, Toronto definitely has some options. I think they might even do more of a faux back, retro-ish inspired design that's not fully retro, but I kind of have a feeling that they might be doing a white 67 throwback, and maybe we get a Buffalo Sabres faux back that's royal blue and gold with a lot more, maybe a mostly yellow jersey. Hell, we might even get gold versus blue. I would be a fan of that, honestly. That would be great. But until that's unveiled, obviously, it's all hearsay at this point. But I am so friggin' happy that Toronto is finally participating in the Heritage Classic. You know, the first Heritage Classic had Montreal and Edmonton. Then, years later, they brought it back for Montreal versus Calgary. And then they had the one between Vancouver and Ottawa. Then they had the next one between Winnipeg and Edmonton. And then they had a Heritage Classic game again featuring the Jets, this time against Calgary. You know, now to see Toronto participating. I don't even mind having Buffalo participating. I think it's going to be a great game. I couldn't think of a better regional matchup to have in the Hamilton, right in the center of Toronto and Buffalo's regional fan bases. I mean, that is going to be a great outdoor game, in my opinion. As for the uniforms, I think Buffalo will do some type of special faux back, obviously. But as for Toronto, I'm going to be curious to see what they do. Do they do a royal blue throwback? Or do they possibly do a white throwback? Or do they maybe even do some type of new faux back design? Well, until it's unveiled, obviously, time will tell. But anyways, guys, that'll be a wrap for this week's weekly roundup video. I hope you enjoyed it, and that's going to be a wrap for me this week, at least until my next video. But on that note, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you've got any comments down below, feel free to do so. Also, Arizona, the Coyotes did announce they're going back to the Kachina uniforms full-time, home and away, unveiling their new what's old is new again away uniform. It is better than what it's replacing, in my opinion. I did make a video about it in the past few days. Feel free to check that out if you want. And on that note, folks, take care. And as always, bye for now.